A nurse stayed after losing her job to care for a silent patient. Unaware the man she saved was the hospital's billionaire patron. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The fluorescent lights hummed faintly above Ana Reyes as she stood alone in the quiet hallway, her name badge already turned in, her shift officially over, her job officially gone. But she didn't move. Not yet. Not when her heart still tugged her toward room 614. The room no one wanted, the room everyone rushed through, the room with the silent man who had no visitors, no family, no record of waking in months. Ana pushed the door open with the same gentle care she had used every night for the past 3 weeks. The air inside was colder than the hallway, the steady beat from the heart monitor soft but steady, like a single thread keeping him tied to the world. Ethan Ward, though she didn't know his full name, lay motionless, his dark hair slightly overgrown, his face calm in a way that wasn't peace but absence. "Hi," she whispered, even though she knew he couldn't answer. "It's my last night here. They cut half the nursing staff today. Budget issues." Her voice cracked, then steadied. "But I'm staying for a little longer. Just to check on you. One last time." She set her tote bag on the chair, rolling up her sleeves out of habit. It felt wrong to walk away from him just because administration saw her as a number on a spreadsheet. She wasn't built like that. She never had been. She warmed the small basin of water, testing it with the inside of her wrist. Not too hot. Not too cold. The way he seemed to respond best. "I know you can't hear me," she murmured as she wrung out the cloth. "Or maybe you can. Honestly, I hope you can. It makes me feel less crazy." She wiped his hands gently, the cloth gliding over. Skin that had begun to lose its color from too many days without sunlight. She adjusted his pillow, brushed a stray lock of hair from his forehead, then exhaled softly. Her gaze shifted to the patient wristband, numbers instead of a name, worn from constant handling. Another sign he'd been kept private, isolated. "I don't like how they treat you," she whispered. "Like you're just waiting to die? You deserve better. Everyone does." She reached into her tote and pulled out the small leather journal she had been writing in after every shift. She placed it on the bedside table. "If you ever wake up, this is for you. I wrote things I hope you'd want to hear. Things I would want someone to tell me." She checked the monitor, smoothing a sticker she'd placed there days ago. "Keep fighting." A tired smile tugged at her lips. "That's your nightly pep talk." She turned off the bedside lamp, leaving only the glow of the machines. Just as she reached the door, something made her pause. A sound, so faint she thought she imagined it. The softest exhale, different from his usual rhythm. She froze, her hand on the doorframe. "Mr. Ward." Her heart thudded once, loud in her ears. But then everything went quiet again. Too quiet. Maybe she was imagining it. Maybe exhaustion was finally catching up to her. She pressed a hand to her chest, steadying her breath. "I'll be back in a minute," she whispered, though her shift had ended hours ago. Because job or no job, paycheck or no paycheck, something inside her refused to abandon him tonight. Not him. Not yet. She stepped back into the hallway, but with the strange, unshakable feeling that the silent man in room 614 was not as silent as he had been before. And that tonight, something was beginning. Ana stood in the hallway, her breath unsteady as the faint sound she thought she heard replayed in her mind. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe exhaustion was finally winning. But something about tonight felt different, as if the quiet in room 614 was shifting in a way she could not explain. She pushed the door open again, softer this time, careful not to startle herself or the man lying in the bed. The machines continued their steady rhythm, the soft beeping the only sign of life inside the room. Ethan looked the same. As before, silent, still, untouched by the world outside. But Ana felt something she could not shake, a pulse of awareness in the air. She stepped closer, her footsteps feather-light. "If you can hear me," she whispered, "that would be a really great time to give me a sign." She waited, her eyes locked on his chest, on the rise and fall that came in slow, even waves. Nothing. She exhaled, a shaky breath that carried days of uncertainty. She grabbed the chart hanging at the foot of his bed, flipping through the vitals she already knew by heart. Stable, unchanged, predictable, and yet her instincts kept whispering that something inside him was trying to surface. She brushed her thumb across his wrist the way she always did to check his circulation. Warm, a little warmer than before. That is new, she murmured. She lifted his hand carefully, observing the tiny twitch of resistance in his fingers. It was barely there, a whisper of movement so faint that any other nurse would have dismissed it. But Anna had been here night after night, had memorized the exact level of stillness he held. This was different. Her heart thudded once, hard enough to tighten her throat. I knew it, she breathed. You are not as gone as they think. A knock struck the open doorway, sharp and sudden. Anna startled as Dr. Cole Matthews stepped inside, his expression tight with impatience. He looked at her tote bag, her rolled-up sleeves, the basin of warm water she had set aside. Reyes, he said, his tone clipped, your shift ended 3 hours ago. I know, she replied softly, but he felt a little warmer. His fingers moved. I think something is changing. Dr. Matthews exhaled through his nose, the kind of sigh meant to make someone feel small. Finger movement in patients like this is almost always reflex. You cannot stay here and invent hope. Administration already let you go. You should not even be in this unit. The words hit her like cold water, but Anna stepped between the doctor and Ethan's bedside anyway. With all due respect, sir, if there is even a small chance he is responding, we should document it. We are documenting nothing, he said flatly. He is a long-term silent case. The board does not want unnecessary tests. And you are not staff anymore. His gaze hardened. Leave. Now. For a moment, Anna stood frozen, feeling the sting of humiliation rise in her chest. She looked at Ethan, hoping for something, anything, to prove she was not imagining things. But his face remained still, his eyes closed, his breathing steady. She lowered her head, grabbed her tote bag, and walked past Dr. Matthews without another word. The hallway felt colder than before, her steps echoing against the sterile floors as she headed toward the elevator. The doors slid open with a soft chime. She stepped inside, her shoulders tense, her throat tight. Just before the doors closed, the monitor in room 614 let out a sudden, sharp spike. A single loud beep. Then another. The machine registered movement. Real movement. But Anna was already gone, unaware that the silent man she refused to abandon was finally beginning to fight his way back to her. The elevator door slid shut with a muted thud as Anna pressed her back against the cool metal wall, her breath catching in her chest. She kept replaying the small movements she believed she saw in Ethan's fingers, the faint warmth in his skin, the almost imperceptible shift in his breathing. Maybe she was imagining everything. Maybe Dr. Matthews was right. But her heart insisted she was not wrong, that something inside the silent man was trying to break through. The elevator chimed and opened onto the lobby, where the night staff greeted her with polite nods, unaware she was no longer one of them. She offered a weak smile and stepped outside into the cool night air. The sky was dark, the street lamps casting long shadows on the pavement. She pulled her jacket tighter around herself and headed toward the bus stop, each footstep heavy with exhaustion and disappointment. As she waited, she kept looking back at the hospital entrance, drawn by an invisible thread. She whispered, "Come on, Ethan. Please do not make me wrong about you." Inside room 614, the machines continued to beep in sharper rhythms, but Anna was too far away to hear them. She boarded the bus, sank into the far corner seat, and leaned her head against the window. The hum of the engine blended with her thoughts until she drifted into an uneasy sleep. Back in the hospital, a nurse doing rounds paused outside Ethan's room, startled by the sudden change on the monitor. "What in the world?" she murmured, stepping in quickly. Ethan's fingers curled again, this time more deliberate, a small flex that seemed like a person reaching through fog. His lips parted slightly, as if trying to form a word, but no sound came out. The nurse pressed the call button. "Doctor on call to room 614. Patient showing increasing activity." Moments later, Dr. Matthews stormed in, his face tightening when he saw the readings. "Impossible," he muttered, snatching the chart. He checked Ethan's pupils, his pulse, the slight tremors in his hand. All of it suggested neurological awakening. "This should not be happening," he whispered, though he sounded more irritated than relieved. The nurse looked uneasy. Should I page the attending? No, he snapped. We do not need unnecessary attention on this case. Increase monitoring and document nothing until I say so. She hesitated. But, doctor, this is significant activity. He is responding. I said no documentation. He repeated sharply, his voice low and dangerous. Do as you are told. The nurse backed away, troubled, but she obeyed. Meanwhile, the bus rattled down the highway as Anna jolted awake with a sudden rush of dread. She could not explain it, but she felt a pull in her chest, a sensation that something important was happening back in room 614. She fumbled for her phone, forgetting it was disconnected and useless since she stopped paying the bill. Frustrated, she hugged her bag to her chest. I should go back, she whispered to herself. Just to check. 20 minutes later, she stepped off the bus and started walking back toward the hospital. But across town, Dr. Matthews stood over Ethan's bed, pulling the curtain closed. He leaned in, studying the subtle twitch of the patient's eyelids, the faint tightening of his jaw, a visible sign that consciousness was returning. Instead of hope, Dr. Matthews felt only fear. You cannot wake up yet, he muttered under his breath. Not before I fix everything. But Ethan's body continued to respond, every tiny movement defying the doctor's intentions. And as Anna hurried through the parking lot, her heart pounding with an unshakable feeling that she was needed, the man she had refused to abandon was slowly fighting his way back to the world, unaware that danger was standing right at his bedside. Anna hurried across the dimly lit parking lot, the early morning air biting at her cheeks as she clutched her tote bag and pushed herself toward the hospital entrance. Her shift was long over, her job technically gone, but something heavy and insistent sat in her chest, urging her forward. Every instinct she had screamed that Ethan needed her, that something had shifted the moment she walked away. The sliding doors whooshed open, washing her in sterile white light as she stepped inside. The security guard looked up, surprised to see her again so soon, but she offered a quick nod and kept moving, her sneakers squeaking faintly on the polished floor. Her heart pounded as she approached the elevator, jabbing the button repeatedly, as if that would make it arrive faster. Upstairs, in room 614, Ethan's fingers twitched again, stronger this time, curling inward like a man reaching for something familiar. The nurse who had been ordered by Dr. Matthews to stay quiet stood frozen in place, watching the readings spike on the monitor with disbelief. The silent patient was waking. She could see it. She could feel it. She whispered, "You are fighting, are you not?" Ethan's eyelids fluttered, the muscles in his jaw trembling with effort. His lips parted, a faint exhale slipping through them. The nurse leaned closer. "Can you hear me?" A low groan rumbled from his throat, weak but real, and her eyes widened. She stepped toward the hallway. "I need to call the attending. This is too big to ignore." But before she could reach the door, it swung open sharply. Dr. Matthews stood there, blocking her path, his expression darkening as he spotted the change on the monitor. "No," he said, voice like ice. "You will not call anyone." "Doctor," she stammered, "he is waking up. Look at him. Look at the monitor. We cannot suppress this." "I said no," he repeated firmly, stepping inside to shut the door behind him. "Not yet." The nurse felt her pulse spike with unease, a sense of danger creeping up her spine. She swallowed hard. "Dr. Matthews, why are you trying to stop this?" He did not answer. Instead, he approached Ethan's bed with slow, calculated steps, his eyes narrowing as he studied Ethan's faint movements. Meanwhile, the elevator finally opened for Anna, and she stepped out onto the quiet floor. The hallway was dim, the overhead lights humming as she walked past the familiar rooms until she reached the one she knew by heart. Room 614. She stopped. The door was nearly shut, just a narrow sliver of darkness visible inside. Anna frowned. Dr. Matthews never kept patient doors closed unless something serious was happening, and even then, he always made it known. Her heartbeat quickened. She pushed the door open slowly, careful not to draw attention to herself. What she saw twisted her stomach into a hard knot. Dr. Matthews stood over Ethan, adjusting the blanket with movements that seemed too deliberate, too forced. He glanced back at the nurse with a warning look before turning around, and that was when he noticed Anna standing there, her expression stunned. "Reyes," he said sharply, "you should not be here." Anna ignored him and stepped forward. Her gaze darted to Ethan, who looked different than when she left. His fingers were trembling. His breathing was uneven, almost as if he was trying to speak. She gasped. He is responding. I knew it. I knew something was happening. The nurse looked at her with relief in her eyes, as if grateful someone else could see it. But Dr. Matthews stiffened. Do not jump to conclusions, he snapped. This means nothing. Ethan's fingers curled again. His eyelids fluttered. A faint, broken whisper escaped his lips. Please. Anna froze, her breath shattering in her chest. Doctor, she whispered. He spoke. That is impossible, Dr. Matthews barked, stepping in front of her as if to block her view. But she moved around him, refusing to be pushed aside. Ethan's lips moved again, another breathy whisper escaping. Do not leave. Anna's eyes filled with tears. I am here, she whispered. I am right here. Dr. Matthews stepped between them, his voice low and threatening. Reyes, step out of this room now. But she did not move. She could not. Ethan was waking up, and she would not let anyone stop him, not now, not after everything. And as she reached for Ethan's hand, the man who had slept in silence for so long tightened his weak fingers around hers, choosing her voice, her presence, above all others. Anna felt Ethan's weak fingers tighten around hers, a fragile but undeniable sign of life that made her breath catch in her throat. The room seemed to freeze, the hum of the machines growing louder as if echoing the moment that everything shifted. Ethan's eyes fluttered again, struggling to open, but Dr. Matthews immediately stepped forward, his voice sharp and panicked. Reyes, move away from him. Now. Anna refused. She leaned closer to Ethan, her voice soft but steady. You are safe. I am right here. Just breathe. Ethan let out a shaky exhale, a sound so faint that if Anna had not been standing inches away, she might have missed it. But she heard it, and it broke her wide open. The nurse at the doorway whispered, This is real. He is coming out of it. Dr. Matthews spun toward her. Not one word, he hissed. Do not document anything. Do not call anyone. Then he grabbed the chart from the foot of the bed, flipping through it, as if he could somehow erase what was happening. Anna's voice sharpened. Why are you trying to hide this? He needs care. He needs tests. He needs a neurologist. He needs stability, Dr. Matthews snapped. Sudden stimulation could cause regression. You are not even employed here anymore, so you have no authority to intervene. Anna felt heat rising in her chest, a mix of anger and fear. This is not about authority. This is about a human being waking up. Ethan's fingers tightened again, this time with more strength, pulling her attention back to him. His eyelids twitched, his head shifting just slightly to one side like he was trying to follow her voice. Do not leave, he whispered again, the words barely air. Anna felt tears sting her eyes. I am not going anywhere, she murmured. But Dr. Matthews suddenly reached for her wrist to pull her back. You are interfering with his care. She yanked her arm away, her voice rising. He asked for me. He wants me here. He is not capable of wanting anything. The doctor barked, though his voice wavered. He is in a vulnerable, transitional state. Your presence is disruptive. The nurse looked between them, clearly terrified, clearly torn. Anna turned to her. Get the attending neurologist. Now. Before the nurse could move, Dr. Matthews slammed his hand against the doorframe. No. No one calls anyone. The nurse flinched. Anna stepped in front of her protectively. Doctor, something is going on with you. Why are you so scared of him waking up? Dr. Matthews stiffened. I am not scared. I am preventing chaos. You are covering something, Anna said quietly. I can hear it in your voice. For the first time, Dr. Matthews's confidence cracked. His jaw tightened. Reyes, leave this room, or I will call security. Before she could answer, Ethan's body jerked in a sudden surge of effort. His eyes snapped open, unfocused but unmistakably awake. A desperate, instinctive breath tore from his chest as he tried to sit up. The monitor spiked, alarms blaring. Anna rushed to support him, her hands on his shoulders. Ethan breathed slowly. It is all right. You are waking up. His gaze wavered, struggling to find her through the fog of months of silence. You stayed, he whispered. Anna nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. Yes, I stayed. Dr. Matthews lunged toward the bed. He is destabilizing. You are making this worse. Ethan's eyes flicked toward him with faint recognition, then anxiety, as if something deep inside his fractured memory wanted to warn him. Anna stood between them. Do not touch him. Reyes, step aside. No. Her voice rang with steady conviction. At that moment, another nurse walking by peeked into the room, startled by the blaring alarms. She gasped. He is awake. I am calling the attending. She bolted down the hall before Dr. Matthews could stop her. He cursed under his breath, realizing control was slipping from his hands. Anna held Ethan's trembling hand as he fought to stay conscious, his breaths uneven but determined. You are safe, she whispered again. You are not alone anymore. Ethan blinked slowly, focusing on her voice more than her face. Do not let him, he whispered weakly. Anna swallowed hard, leaning closer. I will not. I promise. And for the first time since she met the silent man in room 614, she felt the shift fully, powerfully. Ethan Ward was no longer a motionless patient in a forgotten bed. He was a man fighting his way back, one breath at a time. And he trusted her more than anyone else in the room. Chaos erupted the moment the attending neurologist rushed into room 614, followed by 2 additional nurses and a respiratory therapist. The alarms continued to blare while Ethan's breaths came short and uneven, his muscles trembling from the sheer effort of awakening after so long in silence. Anna refused to move from his side, keeping one hand on his shoulder and the other wrapped around his fingers, grounding him with her presence. The neurologist leaned in quickly, shining a small light into Ethan's eyes. He is responsive. Pupillary reaction is present. This is significant. Dr. Matthews tried to interject, his voice sharp and brittle. He is unstable. He needs sedation. We should not overstimulate him. The neurologist shot him a frown. Sedation is not indicated in initial awakening. We need to assess him, not shut him down. Matthews's mouth tightened at the reprimand. Ethan's gaze flickered between the doctors, confusion clouding his expression. His voice came out cracked and faint. Where am I? Anna leaned closer and spoke gently. You are in Westbridge Hospital. You have been here for a while. You are safe, Ethan. His eyes softened for a moment as they found her, recognition not in memory, but in something deeper, something instinctive. You stayed. I did, she whispered. I am right here. The neurologist adjusted the head of the bed and instructed the team to set up warm blankets and oxygen support. He is showing remarkable neurological response. We need imaging and lab work immediately. Dr. Matthews stepped forward again, forcing calm into his tone. Neurological response does not mean full recovery. We should manage expectations. I think we should wait before running scans. The neurologist turned fully toward him. Dr. Matthews, this patient just woke from a prolonged silent state. Waiting is the one thing we cannot do. Why are you resisting? Matthews stiffened, clearly scrambling for an explanation. But before he could answer, Ethan's hand gripped Anna's again, this time with more force. His voice, strained but deliberate, pushed out between breaths. Do not let him stop me. The neurologist's eyes narrowed. Stop you from what? But Ethan's strength faltered, and he shook his head weakly, unable to say more. Anna felt a surge of dread ripple through her. Something was very wrong, and Ethan was trying to warn them. The medical team began prepping equipment for transport. The neurologist ordered, We need to take him for a CT scan right away. Move him carefully. As they worked, Dr. Matthews suddenly stepped close to Anna, speaking in a low voice filled with restrained anger. You need to stay out of this. You have already done enough. She glared at him. I have done nothing but care for him. Why are you trying to interfere with his treatment? What are you hiding? His jaw clenched. You do not understand the complexity here. Then explain it, she demanded. Explain why you try to keep his awakening quiet. His eyes flashed with something she could not read, something dark. This has nothing to do with you, Reyes. It has everything to do with me, she said firmly. He woke up asking for me. He trusts me, and I am not leaving him alone with you. Before Dr. Matthews could reply, the neurologist called out, We are moving him. Reyes, if he responds best to you, stay with him during transport. Matthews spun around. She is not staff anymore. She cannot be involved in patient handling. The neurologist frowned again. Then she can walk beside the gurney. Patient responsiveness is medically relevant. Matthews looked like he had swallowed glass, but he had no choice. The team carefully transferred Ethan onto the rolling bed, securing monitoring lines and oxygen. He winced in pain at the movement, his body not yet strong enough to handle even small shifts, But Anna immediately leaned in and whispered, "It is all right. I am with you. Just breathe." His fingers twitched toward her hand again, reaching, needing her, trusting her. They began pushing the gurney toward the hallway, the wheels squeaking softly against the floor. Staff members passing by stopped in shock, whispering to one another as they realized the long silent patient from the private wing was awake. Some stared, some hurried to assist. And as they approached the radiology elevator, Ethan's voice slipped out again, softer than before, but crystal clear. "Do not leave." Anna swallowed hard and squeezed his hand gently. "I am not leaving you," she whispered back. "Not now, not ever." And as the elevator doors opened, she stepped inside with him, never once breaking eye contact, unaware that his return to consciousness was only the beginning of a much deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. The elevator doors slid shut around Anna and the medical team as they transported Ethan toward the imaging floor, the soft hum of machinery filling the tight space. Ethan's breathing was shallow, each inhale sounding like a fragile fight against gravity, but his eyes stayed open just enough to track her silhouette. Anna kept one hand on the side rail of the gurney and the other resting near his fingers, close enough for him to reach if he needed her. When the doors opened, the team guided him down the quiet corridor, the fluorescent lights above flickering slightly, as if unsure how to greet the man who had slept through so many months. The radiology technician stepped forward quickly. "Is this the patient from the private neuro wing? I thought he was non-responsive." The neurologist answered while adjusting Ethan's oxygen. "He woke up minutes ago. We need scans immediately." As they prepared the room, Anna leaned near Ethan's ear. "They're just taking pictures of your brain. It will help them see how you are doing. You are not alone. I will be right outside the door, all right?" Ethan blinked slowly, his hand lifting just enough to brush her wrist. "Stay close. I will," she promised, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. The team slid him onto the imaging table, and Ethan winced as cold metal replaced the warmth of the gurney. The neurologist nodded to Anna. "We will be quick. Then you can talk to him again." Anna stepped out of the room as the heavy door sealed shut. Through the observation window, she could see Ethan's face, pale and strained under the harsh lighting. She pressed a hand against the glass. "You can do this," she whispered. Behind her, hurried footsteps approached. She turned and felt her stomach drop. Dr. Matthews was striding down the hallway, his expression dark, his posture rigid with frustration. "Reyes," he snapped the moment he reached her. "You had no right to interfere. Your presence is confusing him and disrupting medical protocol." Anna held her ground. "He is waking up. That is all that matters." "You are not staff," he repeated, stepping closer. "You are emotionally compromised. And frankly, you are becoming a liability." Anna felt heat rise in her cheeks. "A liability for whom, doctor?" "Because you seem awfully nervous about people finding out he is conscious." Matthews's eyes narrowed sharply, and a shadow flickered behind them. "You need to watch your tone." The neurologist joined them, unaware of the tension. "The scans will take a few more minutes." Initial vitals looked promising. Matthews nodded stiffly, then turned back toward Anna. "Leave. Now. You are done here." Anna clenched her jaw. "I am not leaving him." "You will," Matthews said firmly, "or I will call security." Before Anna could respond, the radiology technician's voice crackled through the intercom. "He is moving. The patient is trying to lift his head." The neurologist rushed to the door. "He cannot move during the scan. Restrain him gently." Anna pressed forward. "Let me talk to him. He listens to my voice." "You saw that?" Matthews grabbed her arm. "Absolutely not." She pulled away sharply, leaving him standing with his hand suspended in the air. "If you touch me again, I will report you," she warned. Without waiting for permission, she pushed past him and leaned toward the intercom. "Ethan," she said, her voice firm but soothing, "you are safe. They are taking pictures to help you. You need to lie still. I am right here. I am not going anywhere." Through the window, Ethan's head slowly settled back, his eyes searching for her, as if her presence anchored him more than the table beneath him. The technician spoke again. "He is stabilizing. Continue the scan." The neurologist shot Anna an approving nod. Matthews, on the other hand, looked like he might explode. He stepped close enough for only her to hear. "You have no idea what you are involving yourself in." "Then enlighten me," she said. "Tell me why you are terrified of him waking up." Matthews glanced toward the observation window, then back at her. Some patients are better off unconscious. Anna felt her blood run cold. What does that mean? But before he could answer, the machine beeped a final time. The scan was complete. The team moved back inside, and the door cracked open. Ethan looked exhausted, but when he saw Anna, something in his eyes softened. She stepped toward him, her voice a warm whisper. You did great. I am right here. His fingers twitched toward her again. And as the team prepared to move him back to the private wing, Anna knew with absolute certainty that Ethan Ward's awakening was not just a medical miracle. It was a threat to someone, and that someone was standing only feet away, watching her with dangerous eyes. The team wheeled Ethan out of the imaging room with cautious efficiency, moving him back toward the private neuro wing. His eyes drifted half open, heavy with exhaustion, but every time they fluttered closed, he forced them open again, as if refusing to lose sight of the one person he trusted. Anna walked beside the gurney, her hand gripping the rail, her steps matching the slow glide of the wheels. When they reached the elevator, Ethan turned his head slightly toward her, a faint tremor running along his jaw. Do not leave, he whispered again. Anna leaned close enough for her breath to warm his cheek. I am not leaving you. I am staying right here. The neurologist pressed the elevator button and looked back at her. Reyes, when we get upstairs, I am going to need your account of everything that happened before he woke up. Dr. Matthews cut in sharply. She is not staff. Her account is irrelevant. The neurologist blinked at him. She witnessed the first movements. That is clinically relevant. Matthews clenched his jaw so tight a vein pulsed near his temple. We will discuss that later. He stepped into the elevator ahead of the group, positioning himself near Ethan's head as if trying to regain control of the situation. The ride was tense, filled with the soft hum of the motor and the rhythmic beeps from Ethan's monitor. Every sound seemed louder than it should have been. Every breath Ethan took felt like a small miracle. When the doors opened, the hallway outside room 614 was no longer empty. A few department staff had gathered, whispering to one another in disbelief. News of Ethan's awakening had traveled fast. One nurse murmured, I thought he would never wake up. Another whispered, he has been here almost a year. But as soon as they saw Dr. Matthews's glare, they all scattered back to their stations. The neurologist guided the gurney inside the room while Anna followed close behind. The moment the door closed, Ethan's hand lifted once more, reaching for her. She caught it gently, squeezing with quiet reassurance. The neurologist checked his vitals again, nodding with approval. He is holding steady. I want to run a full neurological assessment once he has rested a bit. Matthews forced a smile. Perhaps we should let him rest first. This has been a lot of stimulation. The neurologist did not seem convinced. His progress is remarkable. We should not delay further evaluation. Matthews stepped closer, his tone turning persuasive. Doctor, with all due respect, pushing him too far too fast could cause regression. I believe a conservative approach is best. The neurologist hesitated, uncertain. Anna saw the opportunity slipping into the wrong hands. She took a step forward. Doctor, he needs help. He needs someone to listen to him. He tried to speak during the scan. He was trying to tell us something important. Matthew spun toward her, his voice low and threatening. Reyes, that is enough. Ethan shifted slightly, his breaths quickening with discomfort. Anna immediately softened her tone. Ethan, you are all right. You can rest. You did incredibly well. His eyes opened slowly, searching for her. You stayed, he repeated, his voice barely above a raspy whisper. Yes, she whispered back. I am here. Matthews's posture stiffened as he watched the exchange. Something like panic flickered across his face. Then, as the neurologist turned to adjust the monitor, Matthews leaned in close to Anna, speaking through clenched teeth. You do not know who he is. Anna met his stare. Then why do you keep acting like you do? His eyes hardened. Walk away, Reyes. Now, before you make this worse. She felt her pulse spike with anger and fear. Worse for whom, doctor? Matthews did not answer. Instead, he stepped around the bed, reaching for Ethan's chart, flipping through the pages with trembling fingers. And that was when Anna noticed it. The wristband on Ethan's arm had a partial name printed on the underside she had never seen before. Ward. Her breath caught. Ethan Ward. She knew that name. Everyone in the hospital did. He was the elusive billionaire patron, the man who had funded multiple wings and programs, the mysterious benefactor who never made public appearances. Her eyes widened as the truth settled in. "He is Ethan Ward," she whispered. "He is the hospital's patron." The neurologist looked up sharply. "What?" But Dr. Matthews whipped around instantly, fury and fear erupting across his face. "Reyes, do not say another word." She ignored him, turning back to the neurologist. "He has been kept under an alias. That is why he was hidden on this floor. That is why no one could access his full file." Matthews snapped. "Enough." But the neurologist's expression darkened with realization. "Dr. Matthews, did you know about this? Did you conceal a billionaire patient's identity from the board?" Matthews stepped back, his face paling. "This is not what you think." Anna held Ethan's trembling hand. "He woke up, doctor. And he is not going to be hidden anymore." Matthews glared at her with pure, seething rage. And in that moment, Anna understood completely. Ethan Ward waking up was not just a medical miracle. It was the unraveling of a secret someone had desperately tried to bury. The moment the truth of Ethan Ward's identity left Anna's lips, the room seemed to shift, as if the air itself tightened around the revelation. The neurologist stared at Ethan with wide, stunned eyes, while Dr. Matthews took a step back, his face draining of color as if the floor had vanished beneath him. Ethan blinked slowly, processing the name he barely recognized, his memory still foggy and fractured. But when his gaze drifted to Anna again, something in him softened, as if she were the one familiar piece in a world he was still trying to rebuild. The neurologist straightened. "We need to alert the board immediately. A patient of this profile requires full transparency." Matthews snapped out of his trance. "No, absolutely not. I am still the supervising physician on this case." Anna turned on him. "Not for long." Matthews glared at her with a hatred that felt centuries deep. "You have no idea what you have just done." "No," she said, her voice steady. "I know exactly what I did. I told the truth." The neurologist was already pulling out his phone, stepping into the hallway to call upper administration. Matthews lunged forward as if to stop him, but Anna instinctively moved between them, blocking his path. "Do not touch him," she warned. Matthews froze, his eyes narrowing into slits. "You just ruined everything." "If everything falls apart because a man woke up," Anna said, "then maybe it deserved to fall apart." Matthews opened his mouth to respond, but the distant sound of hurried footsteps thundered down the hallway. Members of the hospital board arrived, followed by security and the chief medical officer. The neurologist met them at the door. "He is awake," he said, fully responsive and speaking. Gasps rippled through the group as they filed into the room. Ethan shifted nervously, overwhelmed by the sudden flood of strangers and authority figures. Anna stayed close, her hand finding his again. "You are safe," she whispered. "They are here to help." The chief medical officer stepped forward cautiously. "Mr. Ward, can you understand me?" Ethan swallowed hard. "I think so." His voice was weak but clear, a far cry from the silence he lived in for so long. The officer nodded with relief. "We are very glad you are awake. There has been great concern for you." Dr. Matthews suddenly pushed forward. "This is all very premature. He is disoriented. He should not be overloaded like this." The officer raised a hand sharply. Dr. Matthews stepped back. Matthews stiffened. "I am still the supervising physician." "Not anymore." The words cut like a blade through the room. Everyone turned. The chief officer continued. "An internal review has been launched into your handling of Mr. Ward's case. There are significant concerns about your decisions, your lack of documentation, and your obstruction of medical protocol." Matthews paled. "This is absurd. I did what I believed was best." "You concealed the identity of a critical patient from your own medical team," the officer said. "You denied him proper testing. You obstructed staff who were trying to help him." Matthews's breath hitched as security approached. "This is not over," he spat, his eyes burning into Anna. "You have no idea what you have interfered with." Anna held his gaze without flinching. "If saving his life is interference, then I would do it again." Matthews was escorted out of the room, his protests echoing down the hall until the sound faded into nothing. Ethan watched him go with a mix of confusion and fear. He did something," Ethan whispered. "I do not remember what, but I know he did something." Anna squeezed his hand gently. "You do not have to figure it out right now. You are awake. And you are safe." The board members slowly stepped out, giving him space, allowing him to settle. The neurologist approached once more. You need rest, Mr. Ward. When you are stronger, we will begin memory assessments. I want, Ethan murmured, his eyes drifting back to Anna, her to stay. The neurologist nodded. Then she can stay. Hours passed, and the room eventually quieted. Soft afternoon light filled the space as Ethan rested with his eyes closed, his breathing slow and steady. Anna sat in the chair beside him, watching his chest rise and fall. For the first time since he woke, his body looked at peace. After a moment, his eyes fluttered open again. He turned his head toward her. I remember. Your voice, he whispered. Before I woke up. You were there. You talked to me. Anna felt her chest tighten. I talked because I hoped you could hear me. I did, he murmured. It was the only thing that kept me from letting go. Her breath trembled. Ethan reached out again, this time more intentional, more aware. You stayed, he said softly. Stay a little longer. Anna laced her fingers with his. I am not going anywhere. For the first time, Ethan smiled, weak but real. And in the golden quiet of the room where he once lay forgotten, the man who had everything except family finally found the one person who refused to give up on him. A nurse who lost her job, a billionaire who almost lost his life, and two hearts that found each other in the most unexpected moment of healing. A story not of wealth, but of kindness, not of power, but of presence. And as Ethan drifted into restful sleep, still holding her hand, Anna whispered the words she never thought he would hear. Welcome back, Ethan. You are not alone anymore.